A question for you guys. If I told you that there was a company out there who has been growing revenue, who has a positive EPS, who is a relatively well-known household name, who is in the industry to do with gaming, which is growing extraordinarily quickly, potentially the metaverse, potentially the crypto space, and it has some of the best PE ratios out there right now, better than the average of the S&P 500, the Nasdaq, etc. Would that be interesting to you? If it is, then you're going to enjoy today's video because we're going to be speaking about that exact company, that company being Corsair Gaming, ticker symbol CRSR, one we have spoken about on this channel quite a lot. And there are quite a few things I want to speak about today. There are some important dates coming up. There's some expectations to be aware of over the coming month, and then more so over the coming 12 months. Now, if you've been around with me on the channel for a while, you'll know that I am long on Corsair Gaming. I really do like the company. I use some of their products. I'm using some of them right now in order to create this video. I've an Elgato light source here. I have some of their fans in my computer, etc, etc. Now, that doesn't really matter. Corsair is a company, like many, who has been absolutely beaten up from their all-time highs, currently down 55.43% on the 1 year chart, down nearly 50%. Been absolutely destroyed. And I think one thing that needs to be realized about Corsair as well, okay, is that, again, they're not pre-revenue. They're not a small brand new company, you know. They're an established business with millions of customers. So today I want to speak about what the analysts have to say both for the coming quarter and for the coming year in regards to Corsair. I want to speak a little bit about all of the different things that they actually do and why, you know, we need to not just look at the gaming industry as a whole, but we need to look at, you know, the whole work from home culture and also the metaverse and crypto to an extent, how that's affected them over the last few months and how it should affect them going forwards also. Aside from that, a few things that were brought up during the last earnings call in regards to GPUs, in regards to graphics card and how that did affect their last quarter and how I think it's going to have an even bigger effect on the next quarter. The supply chain risks, all of the press release from this year so far, if there's anything, you know, of note, and a few things from last year. And one thing to be aware of, where are we? Corsair Gaming to host Investor Day on January 20th, 2022. So that is only 10 days away. So, you know, I want you guys to be aware that this is coming up because oftentimes we get some exciting announcements in these things. So we're going to speak about what the analysts have to say. Can I ask you guys really quickly, hit that juicy like button. It means a lot to me. It helps me out. The support on the first few videos back has been awesome. Drop me a comment down below. Let me know, are you a bull or a bear when it comes to Corsair Gaming? And also, my friends, please hit that juicy red subscribe button if you want more content like this, okay? But first of all, what are the analysts saying? We can have a look. This is our earnings estimates. To get a better picture before we even look at our EPS, if we have a look at revenue estimates, you can see that for the next quarter, March 2022, sales growth, looking at negative 8.9%, okay? But for the year, so 2022 as a whole, looking at 6.5% growth. So analysts as a whole, 6 analysts and 9 analysts covering it, expect a bad first quarter, more than likely due to the GPU shortage, the fact that these graphics cards are so expensive these days, and a lot of Corsair's products rely on people being able to buy their computers, which they need to be able to buy their graphics cards, etc. But you look at their cases, their cooling, that's what I have, their storage, and then the streamers as well. A lot of streamers spend a lot of money on their setups, YouTubers, Twitch people, whatever it is. Like, yeah, that's the exact light I have right here on my left. The stream deck I have right here in front of me as well. But you get the picture. The cameras, they have some of the best plug-in USB cameras that are on the market right now. If people don't want to have a full DSLR setup or mirrorless camera setup, this is your best bet. I actually have a C920 as well. But these things simply aren't going to be as popular while graphics card prices are so incredibly high. So when you look at the revenue estimates and you ask yourself, why does it look like this coming quarter is going to be so poorly? That is more than likely part of the reason why, okay? And on their last earnings call, they did address this, okay? So the first thing the CEO had to say on the call was, during the third quarter, we delivered revenues, okay, gross profit, etc., resulting in gross margin of 25.9%. Very good gross margin. While we continue to see solid demand for our products, our performance was impacted by a very difficult logistics and supply chain environment, particularly the availability of recently priced GPUs, and we believe it's prudent to reset expectations for the year. So, you know, they're not lying to us, they're telling us the truth. They're telling us, you know, we need to reevaluate a few things going forwards. We've already seen a little bit of a trend over the last while that some of these more expensive and more in-demand GPUs have been coming into availability a little bit easier, partially due to more high-end GPUs coming out to market. So therefore, the likes of the 3090s and the 3080s aren't going to be the only ones in demand, and you would expect the market to somewhat regulate itself back out. It's supply and demand, simply put. Now, if you go and read through the entirety of the earnings report, etc., etc., obviously I recommend that you do if you are an investor. I'm not going to do that for this video right here, of course, but they go on to say that they don't expect these supply chains to be as big of an issue for the rest of the year. They didn't necessarily quote the first quarter, the second quarter, the third, etc., but just for the rest of the year as a whole. So it doesn't look as good as it would have said last year or maybe 2 years ago when these issues weren't as prominent, but it looks better than it did, say, 3 or 6 months ago. And I think that is important to be kept in mind. I think that could be part of the reason why we expect relatively poor, well, not relatively poor, very poor sales growth in the next quarter, but decent sales growth in the next year as a whole. I would like to point out as well, guys, Corsair is a stock. We have a forward PE right now of 13.26, okay, a trailing PE of 17.5, a price to sales of 1.09. As far as valuations go, okay, valuations are very good across the board with this company, and they have been for a long time, despite the stock's price going down lower and lower and lower. It's one of the few companies who went public at not absolutely insane valuations last year. The majority of them did go absolutely crazy, and you can see that they're still up considerably from when they did indeed go public. But when you look at the valuations, when you look at the PE ratios, the price to books, etc., etc., it makes a lot more sense than a lot of growth does right now. And keep in mind, Corsair is most certainly a growth stock. It's in a fast growing industry. It's going to have implementations in the metaverse, in the crypto space, etc., etc. And people look at it and say, okay, well, look, from the absolute peaks to today, it's down 55%. And that's obviously a very, very large, very considerable drop. If you look at the NASDAQ, roughly 4 in every 10 companies, okay, roughly 40% of companies in the NASDAQ have seen their market values cut in half from their 52-week highs, okay? Nearly 50% of the NASDAQ being down 50%. Now, if you look at the NASDAQ yearly chart, you might think, how is that possible? It's up nearly 50%. They are being carried by the biggest of the big companies in the world. I think most people realize that at this stage, how well Apple, Google, etc. have done, that a lot of the other players are actually doing very poorly. It looks incredible, but there's a lot of companies struggling. So when you look at a company like Corsair, okay, who is down about 50%, is comparable to literally nearly 50% of the NASDAQ. And look at today, 3.6% dip today as recording. Wow, month on the NASDAQ down 10%. It might be time to start picking up some juicy deals, baby. So don't let the fact that the company has... So don't let the fact that the stock has performed poorly over the last 6 months, whatever it's been, put you off. Because again, stocks get less risky as the price goes down. A lot of people think they get less risky as the stock goes up and up and up and gets higher and higher, but it gets less risky as it goes down. So the ratios from a value, from a growth investor point of view, from pretty much anyone's point of view, are all quite good. Yes, the growth over the last year, particularly the last 6 months, could have been better, but the growth over the last 5 years is still absolutely insane. And I'm speaking about the company, I'm speaking about the fundamentals, I'm speaking about the revenues, etc., not just the stock price, because obviously it's a relatively new stock. And there's a good article here, okay? It's all the way back from the 28th of December. Supply chain risk cannot explain why Corsair Gaming trades that cheap, okay? And that is a large portion of what this entire video is about. I mean, me right now, I haven't been buying many stocks at all over the last few months. I haven't liked very much whatsoever, but when it comes to Corsair, I'm just going to be happy to keep adding to this position. I'm glad I haven't gone all in. I think I'm already down 25-30% in my position. I'm not trying to hide that. But again, it just means I get to buy more at cheaper prices. I was happy to buy these guys at 25, at 30, whatever it was. Of course, I'm going to be happy to buy them at low 20s. Now, if you want to go read this, there is a lot of useful information in here. You definitely can go and do so. It's on Seek and Alpha, okay? But the summary really does summarize what needs to be said, okay? Corsair Gaming offers innovative gear for gamers and content creators. I think it's going to become even more than that. I think that more and more people who aren't gamers or content creators are going to have higher end PCs as the metaverse becomes more prominent, as everything like that, you know? Just everybody's going to need better devices and better software, hardware, etc., etc. The company is successfully launching new innovative products and product lines, okay? They constantly do this, okay? If we go back to all of their press releases for 2021, let's say, just really quickly, it literally is constant, okay? Where are we? There's lots here, speaking about Scoff, speaking about Origin. If we go to 2022 already, okay, 10 days into the year, Corsair launches new Corsair 1 i300, powered by 12th Gen Intel Core and DDR5. Corsair Gaming appoints, we have a new board of directors, well, new people on the board of directors. Corsairs acquire majority ownership in Taiwan-based electronics designer and display specialist iDisplay. They are always expanding. Even now when they are facing difficulties, they are expanding the business, they are growing the business, and they have been doing this constantly. Just go read through all press releases from 2021 and you will see just how often these things really are happening. If the semiconductor shortage continues, Corsair Gaming may suffer from the lack of graphics cards. Makes sense, okay? The company's gross profit margin and the FCF margins could decline, and again, makes sense if they're spending more on these like the everyday person is. Yes, margins get worse, but they have very good margins. In the last quarterly report, management already claimed that it was paying too much for GPUs, which may be detrimental for the company's free cash flow margins. And again, that's why I'm not saying that you guys need to run and go all in on this company now, but you need to be aware of what's going to happen over the next quarter, and then keep up to date with the semiconductor shortage, keep up to date with the GPU prices, and see if, you know, we can see the trend start to reverse and Corsair start to take advantage as opposed to being held down by these negatives. Now, Corsair Gaming to host their Investor Day on January 20th. This could be a short-term bullish signal, whatever you want to call it. It could lead to the stock price moving a little bit. In the grand scheme of things, this is going to be absolutely nowhere near as important as the next quarterly report, okay? A lot of people aren't going to even look at this. A lot of analysts aren't going to be too interested in this investor day itself. It's the simple truth of it. They want to see the facts and the figures. They can't really look into the vision, let's say. That's not their fault. Keep in mind that a lot of analysts cover a lot of stocks, and that is what they look at. That's the way they've always done it, and they just look at the numbers. But as an investor, as somebody who is going long on Corsair, who wants to understand the business, the direction that it's headed, what's going on, what can we expect to see, January 20th, be ready, my friends, because these things can be extraordinarily exciting. Corsair is one who in the past as well, we have seen some particularly large volume days. As of late, the volume is quite small, I do believe. I'm not sure exactly where to find it really quickly, but it's been relatively low in comparison to where it has been in the past. Maybe we'll see an uptick in the day or two prior. Maybe there'll be some swing trade opportunities. We'll have to wait and see. But that's what needs to be done now. They're kind of dates to keep in mind, my friends, especially if you are a Corsair gaming investor. $20 is going to be a very key level to keep an eye on. And again, just look at that chart. It's been steadily declining. That's why I'm not telling you to go run and go all in, because, you know, for a long time we were just booming. We were up and up and up, and then this crash happened and we haven't recovered. But again, look at the bigger picture. Look at what's going on in the world. Look at pretty much half of the Nasdaq being down 50%. A similar story will go for a lot of what's going on in the S&P 500. Right now, the giants are doing well. Talks of inflation means that, you know, people are going to be quite defensive this year more often than not. Well, that's an assumption. I can't say that for sure, obviously. But just, yeah, growth could take a while to come back to fruition is essentially what I'm getting at. So when it comes to the likes of Corsair, this would go for me personally, for companies like Palantir as well. I think right now, just dollar cost averaging at prices you are happy to pay is the way forward. It could be a tough 3-6 months. It could be a tough year. It could be a tough 2 years. Let's be honest, guys. We don't know what's going to happen. We're just going to have to wait and see. My plan is keep adding to this one. It's still one of my highest conviction plays when you have, you know, a multi-year outlook. Anyway, my friends, if you watched this all the way till the end, you are a true legend, and I really and truly do appreciate you being here. Again, the support coming back has been awesome. I've been getting some nice comments. You know, we've gotten more than 16 views, which I personally am very happy about, because I know how big of a thing consistency is on YouTube for getting your videos pushed. Hopefully, we are going to be getting a little bit more consistent around here. I am going away for a few days next week, but I'm actually going to try and prep some videos so we can have a little bit more of a proper schedule. But I'm enjoying myself again. I really am enjoying making these videos, enjoying being able to interact with you guys a little bit more. And even just today, you know, catching myself up on some stuff that's been going on with Corsair after taking that little bit of time off. I actually enjoyed going and reading and researching, so that's a very good sign for me personally. But genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, I appreciate you all. If you did enjoy the video, again, please, if you would, hit that like button, drop me that comment down below, and subscribe if you're new around here. It all helps me out absolutely massively. I hope you all have a beautiful, blessed day. I will see you in another video very soon. Peace.